What's up, friends, family, and my fellow sufferers? It's your boy Danny, fresh in the flesh, making it all make sense on YouTube's most criminally underrated channel. If this is your first time here and you think you might be interested in, consider making me your YouTube homie. Just remember while you're watching, if you dig the vibe, like and subscribe. In the past, I've called the vegan claim that our intestines are long like an herbivore's veganism's big lie. That was kind of clickbaity on purpose. The truth is that the claim is really just lacking an awful lot of context which I provided in my video on the subject. The actual big lie that vegans frequently tell is that vegans and or vegetarians live longer than non-vegans and or non-vegetarians. This is the real big lie because life expectancy is the single most important endpoint. Anybody that disagrees with this is not worth engaging. The origin of this lie almost always comes back to two studies. The 10 Years of Life Is It a Matter of Choice study published in the JAMA in July of 2001, and the Vegetarian Dietary Patterns and Mortality in Adventist Health Study 2 paper published in the JAMA in July of 2013. These are two separate studies. I've been guilty in the past of sort of conflating or blending these two studies together into one, and I'm not going to do it in the future. We're going to consider the first study first. And I want you to remember while we're doing that vegetarian in almost all of these studies never actually means vegetarian. 3 minutes on the clock. In this study in particular, vegetarians are defined as those eating meats never or less than once per month, and semi-vegetarians as those eating meats more often than vegetarians but less than once a week. All others are non-vegetarians. I'll go ahead and suspend my disbelief and pretend that there are people out there that are eating meat, but that they're only eating it less than once per month. All we're really doing in this study is comparing a bunch of kind of sort of vegetarians who are religiously health conscious on the one hand to the entire rest of the population of California, which are neither, on the other. Here's the result. The expected ages at death in Adventist men and women given survival to the age of 30 years are 81.2 and 83.9 years respectively. This corresponds to an extra 7.3 years of life expectancy for Adventist men and an extra 4.4 years for Adventist women when compared with other Californians. When we consider just the vegetarian Adventists who are not actually vegetarian, but who are religiously health conscious, we find this. Vegetarian Adventist men and women have expected ages at death of 83.3 and 85.7 years respectively. All we need to do to put an end to this nonsense is to look at a life expectancy by country chart now that we know these important facts about Adventist life expectancy. When we do that, we can see that as of 2021, there are 25 countries where men have a life expectancy at birth of 80 or longer. There are 27 countries where women have a life expectancy at birth of 84 or longer. There are an entire 39 countries who have life expectancies over 80 years old. Now, these are the completely unadjusted life expectancies of completely average people just going about their completely average lives, unadjusted for BMI. People who are neither vegan nor vegetarian or religiously health conscious. What this means is that religiously health conscious blue zone vegetarians and vegans from first world country do not live substantially longer lives than their non-vegan and non-vegetarian counterparts in many other countries who are not religiously health conscious. If we compare them to similarly health conscious non-vegans and non-vegetarians, vegans and vegetarians might even die slightly younger. Moving on to the second study. Now, this second study is supposed to show that vegetarian Adventists live longer than non-vegetarian Adventists, and we're supposed to be able to extrapolate these results to the general public. I've already irrefutably established why we can't do that in the last section of this video. Nevertheless, here's all you need to know about Adventist Health Study 2. It was a short study where 2,570 deaths occurred among 73,308 study participants during a mean follow-up time of 5.79 years. The unadjusted death rates are virtually identical across all cohorts. You can use Table 3 for yourself to play around with this and see for yourself. There were 197 deaths among 5,548 vegans, which is an unadjusted death rate of 6. There were 1,147 deaths among 35,359 non-vegetarians, which works out to an unadjusted death rate of 5.68, lower than the unadjusted vegan death rate. These numbers end up being a little different when we do adjust for age, race, and sex like they did in the study, but not by much. The adjusted death rate is 5.4 for vegans and 6.61 for non-vegetarians. However, the authors did not adjust the death rates for BMI. As noted in a letter to the editor, it is clear from Table 2 of their study that vegans with the lowest all-cause mortality had a mean BMI of 24.1 with a standard deviation of 4.7, compared with non-vegetarians who had a mean BMI of 28.3 with a standard deviation of 6.1. The high standard deviation for non-vegetarians indicates a higher prevalence of obesity in this category, compared with male subjects with a BMI between 23.5 and 25, subjects with a BMI of 30 to 35 and 35 or greater would have an all-cause mortality 24% and 94% higher after 10 years of follow-up. What our friends here are saying in their letter to the editor is that the very small advantage that vegetarians had in lifespan would vanish or turn into a disadvantage if the study authors had corrected or adjusted the numbers for BMI. When you really get down to brass tacks and you look at the study, pesco-vegetarians, who were defined as people that consumed fish 1 time per month or more without any cap or limit on fish intake, and all other meats less than 1 time per month, lived the longest. According to their own study, pesco-vegetarians, which is another word for meat eater, lived the longest. What do we know? We know that religiously health-conscious blue zone vegetarians and vegans from a first world country do not live substantially longer lives than their non-vegan and non-vegetarian counterparts who are not religiously health-conscious. We know that there is absolutely nothing longevity promoting about the vegetarian dietary pattern or the vegan dietary pattern. We know that it is quite possible that there is barely anything longevity promoting about being religiously health conscious. We also know that those of us in fully modernized first world countries all get just about 80 years if we're not substantially overweight and we don't suffer any unfortunate accidents. Use your time wisely. Hey, thanks for sticking around. You must have really enjoyed the video if you did. So, do your boy Danny a solid and leave me a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the subject, what you liked about the video, what you didn't like about the video, and what other subjects you want to see me handle and take down in 3 minutes in the future. It's your boy Danny reminding you that you are beautiful, capable, and strong, which means that you are good enough for whatever slings, arrows, and outrageous fortune fate cooks up and sends your way. And you're gonna stay that way because you are gonna eat meat and move weight. Chuck-a-deuce.